Hey everybody, it's your old pal Popcorn Farts here, ready to talk to you about a groundbreaking new wonder drug that's sweeping the market in erectile dysfunction. And I'm going to let my old gal Popcorn Queefs here tell you a little bit about what that drug is called.
Blue Chew.
There's no side effects to Blue Chew. Nothing like back pain, shortness of breath, headaches. None of that. That's all fake news stirred up by the leftist elite in the mainstream media to fuel their woke agenda against masculinity. But I got good news, fellas. I can get erections again. You can get erections again. Boners are back.
Blue Chew.
Okay, you guys, it's only fair that I keep things 10 dimes with you. I used to be an anxious, manic depressive, emotionally bipolar mess with a flaccid dick. But now, thanks to Blue Chew, I have an erection.
Blue Chew.
I used to fall asleep every night crying because of my failures as a man, while popcorn queefs would rub my back and console me, telling me that it happens to a lot of guys. But now, thanks to Blue Chew, this beautiful bitch can't even walk straight.
Blue Chew.
Consult your wife or your physician before considering to take Blue Chew. Those with pre existing heart conditions or those taking medications for heart conditions probably shouldn't be taking it because you could die.
Blue Chew.
What's up, fuckers? We're here to discuss the new 2024 movie Wicked, starring Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, and directed by John Chu. Do you know who John Chu is, the director?
No idea.
He's directed a few films. He directed Crazy Rich Asians. He
Mm.
have you seen Now You See Me too?
Yeah, we watched it together.
Yeah, you love that movie.
I do.
John Chu directed it.
I've
Uh,
also seen Crazy Rich Asians, which is a good movie.
yeah, so you're a fan of his directing. Were you a fan of Wicked?
Hated it.
Yeah, I guess we'll get into it.
It's a bore fest.
Wicked was based off of the 1995 novel by Gregory Maguire called Wicked: The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. It's a loose adaptation of the novel anyway. It's not entirely fact for fact, beat for beat based on the novel, but it's based on the general concept. Gregory Maguire, when writing it, he got the idea because when he watched The Wizard of Oz, as most of us did growing up, he thought it was interesting that Glinda Elphaba calls Glinda by her first name. She says, "Are you?" But after her sister gets crushed by the house, says, "Glinda, are you behind this?" And he thought it was kind of interesting that she knew her on a first name basis, and said, "What if they went to school together?" And then he thought that idea was so hilarious that he actually fell out of his chair laughing, and wrote the novel, became somewhat very successful, and then they adapted the story into a large Broadway play, which obviously became a phenomenon. Adina Menzel got her start on the Broadway play Wicked. You know, Elsa from
Yeah.
Frozen. Yeah. I didn't like it either, to be honest with you. I had to judge it in like two parts because the play, the Broadway musical, is fucking iconic, and for all the right reasons. It just hits as a play. Some things just hit as plays, some things hit as books, some things hit as video games, but they don't necessarily translate that well into the silver screen of cinema. And I think Wicked kind of falls into that category. I wasn't a fan of. I had to judge it as a movie, not just as a musical. And as a movie, it was a one and done for me. You know.
Yeah, me too. Well, like I said, I will watch part two. so I can find out certain stuff that happens in the first one.
I'll
But I
tell,
will only watch it for those reasons.
I'll tell you one of the things that stuck out for me were the Munchkins, because the Munchkins are like one of my favorite parts of the Wizard of Oz. And obviously, Peter Dinklage is in this movie. He's the voice of the old goat, the
Mm-hmm.
poor old goat who got us. Actually, it's kind of a cheap trick to use animals because to tell your story because people are all. It's just a layup in terms of emotion because most people just love the animals. You have this cute old goat who's talking like Peter Dinklage, and he's a metaphor in the movie used for persecution because spoiler alert, the story of Wicked is basically the story of how the Wizard of Oz is a narcissistic dictator, a complete and total authoritarian. If you've ever seen the original Wizard of Oz, you know the wizard is a bit of a con man, if you will. He's got the entire kingdom of Oz fooled into thinking he's this great malevolent force, and really he's just an old man behind the curtain. This takes it a step further into where the wizard is essentially Hitler. He is. He's Hitler. He even says it in the movie. He's like, I use the animals as a skate. She's like, Elphaba's like, why? Why blame the animals for all the problems in Oz? And the wizard is like, because everyone needs a scapegoat. It's like, Jesus, man.
And in their terms, literally.
Yeah, literally, they want to turn the animals into slaves that can't talk. Uh, and I get that with Peter Dinklage in this movie. Obviously, you couldn't use short actors or people with dwarfism in the roles of the Munchkins. He shut that shit down with Snow White, and I'm sure it was one of the first things out of his mouth when they approached him or his agent about being in this one. Was like, "What are you gonna make me a Munchkin?" And it's like, no. I imagine Ariana Grande meeting with him, the one being the one to kind of sell this movie to him. And you know how during that whole interview junket, she was just constantly holding hands with the actress who plays
Yeah.
Alpha and emotionally supporting him, and Peter Dinklage just being like, "You're not gonna make me a Munchkin, are you?" And Ariana Grande just like, "I would never do that to you. We would never do that to you." And it is one of the wokest movies you'll ever see in your life. I mean, they checked every fucking box. A black woman in a wheelchair, nailed it. They even had people in wheelchairs dancing at one point in the movie. They were in wheelchairs dancing. I mean, if you're looking for a woke movie, plus with the plot about it being prosecute or persecuting marginalized communities, in this case, it being the animals of Oz, you know, it just hit all the boxes for a woke movie. That's not why I didn't like it, but why didn't you like it?
Well, I went in thinking the music would be different, and it obviously didn't meet my expectations. I didn't like the music. I know you said you liked the music, but I don't know. I just didn't like any of the songs. It's mostly why I didn't like it, probably because the whole movie's music, people singing. I don't know. It wasn't for me. I'm not saying it was a bad movie, but it wasn't my kind of movie.
You didn't like the main song, "Defying Gravity," that they sing at the end while the Wicked Witch went away on her broom?
No,
No, not even "Defying Gravity," huh?
no. I saw that video or that TikTok with Megan Trainor and her best friend, and I heard the little song they sang, and I
The
loved
Alphaba,
that.
Alphaba,
Glenda,
Alphaba.
Glenda.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that they would add
I'm a
some.
witch and I'm a witch, but
Yeah,
which is which? Well, here's the witch.
yeah, very catchy.
I loved it.
I thought that they were going to include that in it too. I thought they
Yeah.
were going to throw some different songs
So
in there.
I naturally was like, oh, well, that song's a fucking bop, like they said. And I was like, so the rest of the songs will be good too. I want to see this. And then I was like, oh, shit. That song wasn't in there, and I didn't like the other songs.
Visually, it is very appealing. Special effects wise, they did a banger job for the special effects. It looks amazing up on the big screen. Again, judging it as a movie, though, I don't see this movie holding up well in terms of history. Like, if you're gonna see this movie, it almost has to be on the big screen because if you see it on like, I don't care if you have like a 35 inch, a 60 inch, or a 100 inch, fucking 5K plasma TV, like it just doesn't. It's meant to be seen up on the big screen. That's is the case with most big budget blockbuster movies that they hope will be blockbusters anyway. This movie's the same way. Like, I can't see sitting at home watching this on Netflix. One, there's too many chances to fast forward it, and there's going to be a lot of times in this movie you're going to want to fast forward, folks. At least especially in the beginning, before the real story of the movie starts to unfold. You know, the story with like the persecuted animals. Uh, this movie's kind of boring and it just drags on. It's basically the drama between Elphaba and her family. Her mom, I guess, cheated on her dad when she was pregnant with her, and while she was partying with her side piece, she took some concoction and it turned the baby's skin green. And ever since then, Elphaba's dad like hates her at the sight of her. Again, on a stage, like a Broadway stage, a story like that works in the confines of like a musical. But when you're talking about a movie, like an actual big screen, big budget movie, the story you kind of have to like make it a little bit shorter. And this it felt like they took a good hour and a half just introducing like the cast when it was really just Alphaba and Glenda, or Galinda as she says. And,
Galinda.
and people are praising the performances. Like, yeah. I mean, it's mostly a musical, and the first half of it is almost 95% singing. I think they spent more time singing in the first half of that movie than they did actually talking.
Oh yeah, there was so much music, it was too much.
And look, I'll say Grande did like a great job playing Ariana Grande in it, but that was about it. And it completely like shits on the original Wizard of Oz because I'm gonna be honest. I don't see our grandchildren watching the original Wizard of Oz. You know, I don't. It was like pulling teeth trying to get my kids to watch the Wizard of Oz, and like,
Oh,
and
my daughter's never seen it.
yeah, we're approaching the very first generation of kids that probably will never have seen the Wizard of Oz growing up. So for future generations that may stumble upon this movie, they're gonna look at it and they're gonna be like, "Why is Dorothy being such a cunt to Elphaba?" You know, they're not going to look at it how Frank Baum, the creator of Wizard of Oz, intended the story to be, where Elphaba is a bitch. Like, she's literally the definition of a bitch. She's the Wicked Witch of the
Yeah,
West.
but in that movie, you feel sorry for her.
Yeah, and that's a trend in Hollywood that I've gotten, me along with a lot of other people have gotten kind of sick of. It's this story of the tragic story of the villain from the story you know him from, and it tells their tragic backstory about how they're not really the victim, and it's supposed to make you like go back and watch the original and like rethink your whole interpretation of the character. But it's just overdone, man. Like, I've seen like a lot of shows and movies recently that have taken that chance and have detoured from that formula of storytelling. Look at Penguin is not a good character at all throughout the show. He's not some tragic fallen hero. Like,
No, it shows him as a kid killing his own brother.
dude, that's the thing with Penguin. Like, you start off the show and you're like, okay, this guy's not good. He's a piece of shit. And then as each episode unfolds, you're like, oh my god, this guy's not just a piece of shit.
He's evil.
He's a sociopath. Like, even the love he has for his mom is like love.
Psychotic.
Yeah, it's a very twisted parasitic. It's not love. It's
Obsession.
obsession and control. It's really done. There was another. Well, there's a great Star Wars novel called Darth Plagueis that's about like how Palpatine gets trained by his master, and throughout the book, a lot of the book, you're reading it from the perspective of Emperor Palpatine, like when he's like a young boy and like a young man growing up, and you're thinking, man, when does this guy become like the ruthless dictator, this manipulative like genius that he becomes? And the end is great when he betrays his master, and spoiler alert, he kills Darth Plagueis. And when he's telling Darth Plagueis kind of why he's killing him, and he's talking to Darth Plagueis, but what he's really doing is talking to you, the reader, and being like, you must be wondering when this change took place. When did I decide to betray you? And the truth is, I haven't changed at all. I'm still the same exact person you met. Like, I was always the snake. You're the one that let me into your car.
Right.
And so I really appreciate it when studios take chances with stories like that. Yeah, man, it seems like ever since Maleficent,
Yeah.
that movie
With
hit.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie, yeah, ever since that movie was a success at the box office, Disney has just been milking that cow beyond its
I
bones.
never even watched that. I haven't wanted to watch any of the new Disney movies.
Uh,
They
well,
just don't tickle my fancy.
yeah, I hear you. You know what? Oz prequel, Wizard of Oz prequel, I actually did like that. A lot of people don't.
Oz.
The one with James Franco.
Oh, I've never seen any of them.
A lot of people hate that movie, and with good reason. I can understand why. James Franco, similar to my criticism of Ariana Grande, how I said Ariana Grande in this is playing Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
James Franco is very much playing James Franco. Like, it's not a huge leap as far as his acting abilities go. He's not like playing some deaf musician or anything. He's playing like a charming, good-looking young con artist, which is James Franco. So, no.
Oh.
And this one, Ariana Grande was playing an emotionally vapid, mean girl, and
Oh.
that's Ariana Grande.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know her personally, or James Franco for that matter, obviously.
I just when I think of James Franco, I think of funny,
Yeah.
goofy stuff.
Well, that's how he gets you.
Shut up.
That's the trick. Anyway, what have you given it?
Uh, two queefs.
Damn! That's ours.
Yeah.
That's
I'd give
ours.
it three if I could.
Wow, you hated it
For
that
each
much?
hour.
Did you really hate it that much?
For each hour of the movie,
I
yes.
didn't hate it that bad.
I hated it. I was so bored I couldn't wait to leave.
You didn't think it looked cool, like how it was shot?
No. And you wanted to go see Sonic after, and I would have rather seen Sonic, and there was no way I could sit through another 2 hour movie after sitting through that 3 hour bore fest.
I still want to see Sonic, by the way.
What do you rate it?
Man, I love the musical, like the Broadway show. So,
No, the movie itself.
judging it as a movie, it's not that memorable. It's kind of a waste of money. And it's kind of a waste of time because if they put it on a streaming service, you're gonna be tempted to pause or leave the room or find something else on. It's just how our attention spans are.
Right.
And Wicked as a movie is hard to it's hard to sit through unless you're at a theater and you're like captured in the moment. So I wouldn't see it again, but I'm not crying tears of sadness that I spent money to go see it either because it was something to do. Um, and artistically,
You were thinking like you were overanalyzing it so much.
it didn't leave me with a bad taste in my mouth. I
Oh my gosh.
I'm sounding like a pompous ass. Um, I'll give it one pop, one fart.
I knew you were gonna give it that.
It's a one and done. You should see it once and judge for yourself.
I
You know?
mean, it's not like gonna kill you to see it once, but I would never watch it again because that would kill me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like going to see like what was that Lindsay Lohan movie with the race car driver?
Herbie.
Herbie. It's not like Herbie Reloaded or
I
whatever.
like that movie.
No, you didn't.
Yes,
Stop
I
it.
did.
What?
Yes, you know I always like the movies everyone didn't like or doesn't like.
That's hardly a movie.
I loved that movie when I was young. I
That's a.
watched it a lot.
Oh, I better be careful. Because I was about to say some nasty things about that movie.
I mean, I'm not going to be offended.
Okay, it's not as bad as Catwoman with
I
Halle
like
Berry.
Catwoman.
Shut up! Me and you were having a long talk after this about your taste in movies.
Well,
What would you give Catwoman out of curiosity?
I'd give it 2 pops.
Fuck that. You should reach deep down into your vagina and grab two fat ass queefs for Catwoman. Fuck that movie.
I liked it. I watched it a lot growing up when it came out. I haven't watched it since then, but I'm sure I'd still like it.
Let me ask you a question. Since you've seen The Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
do you think this movie would have been better if they cast like short actors or people with dwarfism as the Munchkins?
I don't think it would have made a difference. It was a. It sucked.
Okay.
That didn't even. I mean, I noticed that the Munchkins were normal size, but that didn't
It's
like ring any
weird.
alarms for
It's
me.
so weird to see Munchkins like normal people as like Munchkin,
If the rest of the movie
normally
would have been,
sized people.
if the rest of the movie would have been better, then I would have been like, yeah, having dwarfkins,
See,
dwarfkins,
you want to call them by the slur, because that's what right? The M word.
midget.
Oh my God. I apologize to the short community for
I
this
think they
one over
prefer
here.
midget.
No, they definitely do not.
Who told you that?
Um, you know, short people.
How many short people have you met?
Okay, fair enough. Not that many, but I've seen them talking like interviews and shit, and they all say that that's like their like line.
Little people.
Yeah, but little people sounds just like
Well, it's not their fault, and it's
it's
not their,
hard.
and
It's
you can't
hard.
help the words.
I
You
know
okay? You
it's
can't help.
hard.
Just like I'm not even gonna go that far.
I thought dwarf was cool. I thought dwarf was like dope. Like, and then they got offended at that. They're like, "Don't call us dwarves," and it's like, dude, dwarves are awesome. They're in Lord of the Rings. They're fucking badass. So I hear you.
I think it depends on the person.
Hmm. Think of
Just like us.
think of all the dwarf actors out there that got screwed out of a role in this movie and a job because Peter Dinklage was probably
Well,
like,
think about all the people that aren't dwarves that would have got screwed out of the shot at the movie if they picked a dwarf. It could go either way.
that's actually a good point. But don't we have enough as like 5 and 6 footers? Don't we have enough in this world? Do we really need their roles too?
Vader.
All right. Well, I'm giving it one pop, one fart. You're giving it two disgusting, greasy queefs.
Hell yeah.
Two buttery popcorn queefs from AMC theaters. Popcorn farts and popcorn queefs out.